This video is sponsored by Flex Seal. Just got to stop by Home Depot. The Flex Seal order is in. I'm pretty excited about that. I just got to pick it up. I guess I got to rent it up the service desk. Just got to walk in and grab it. How convenient. Well, good morning, guys. Another fine day at the off-grid. Today, we're dealing with a special problem. It's actually a project that I've been kind of had on the back burners for a little while. And what it is a canopy for the off-grid pool. Now, I've been putting a tarp on it to keep the debris off of it and kind of keep, you know, wildlife out of it, because the last thing you want is a raccoon swimming in your swimming hole. So the plan today is to start on a canopy that's going to sit over top of the pool, kind of like this. It's going to have sort of like a gantry system. Right, Don, you got your engineering hat on today?
No, I've got a hat on, so I'm not sure.
It's close to an engineering hat. It does say Canada on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're building? Any ideas?
Yeah, I have an idea of what we're building.
It's like the claw.
It's like a retractable roof.
Like a retractable roof, like the Sky Dome?
Similar, I guess, although it's
Well,
not
it's not going to be retractable.
It's going to be liftable.
Liftable. A liftable, kind of retractable. The cone of silence. You remember the satellite dish?
Yes.
Yes, so we extracted a satellite dish out of a woman's backyard many months ago. It was probably last summer. We've had it in storage for a little while. I actually took it out and I actually cleaned it because the surface, we want it to be nice and clean in order to adhere. We're going to actually adhere some nylon screen to it to make it waterproof in order to prevent water and bird droppings and all that other fun stuff that happens in the forest getting into the pool. Dean, you look like a rock. Figure this is our anchor point. So it's a nice old tree stump that's sitting here. It's a good anchor point, so this will hold our gantry system and then it'll sit over top of our pool. My plan is to use some mesh screen in order to fill in every slice of the pie, and then I'm going to use Flex paste to seal my edges, and then I'm going to coat it with Flex Seal liquid over the entire surface to give myself a waterproof seal on this dish. And so first we got to make a template. We could do this out of cardboard, but I think we're just going to run it out of screen, right? Make a template, and then we can set the template over top of our screen. It'll allow us to cut every slice of our pie, and then we can caulk all our joints. It'll be really easy, actually. I think I'm probably overthinking this whole process in my head. Let's get cutting. We've got the first couple of squares done, but we've soon realized that we need a template system because this is going to take way too long to kind of fit every square. We've done one square and we kind of put it in the other square, and it seems that every triangle seems to be the same size. So what we're going to do is cut up a bunch of triangles and we can caulk them all in place. Well, we almost got all the panels done, but we're somewhat of a rain delay. Ideally, you don't want to be using Flex Seal in the rain because you want a smooth, clean, dry surface free of dust and debris. So I've got them hidden under here. I got them underneath my tarp, so they'll be able to dry for 24 hours, and then I'll be able to put the Flex Sealer on top, which is going to give me a waterproof dome. What's crazy is that it hasn't rained in a month and a half or something like that, so it decides to rain when I want it to not rain. So anyways, that's par for the course. But I checked the radar and it's going to just kind of, it's going to hover over here. Although we do need the rain, because, well, the plants need rain, everybody needs rain. So we're just gonna wait it out and check back tomorrow. Maybe the sun will be shining. Well, you guys have probably figured it out by now that today's video is sponsored by Flex Seal. Some of the tips and tricks that I want to mention using this Flex paste is, first, start with an area that you can trial out between 15 to 30 minutes, because this stuff skins over relatively quick, which is a positive in my books, because you don't want to be waiting forever for this stuff to dry. It does cure in 24 hours to 48 hours, depending on your relative humidity. The other thing I noticed was that the unscrewing nozzle tip that it comes with, you can cut it to different sizes. So what I was doing was cutting the tip, and then I was reusing the tip on the other one. So it was already filled with Flex paste, so I would just add it to the tip and then carry on. That's why I wasn't wasting any of the tip, and I knew exactly the dimension that my tip was cut to. Great thing about this stuff is that it cures to a rubberized, flexible seal. So after 24 hours of letting that stuff set up, what I did was I actually used a different product from Flex Seal, which is the Flex Seal Liquid, which is kind of like paint, but it's waterproof. So I first started by dumping it in a paint tray. I used a paint roller, and then I lightly coated all of my screen in order to kind of start the waterproofing process. And then I let that dry for 24 hours. I came back and added a second coat, but the second coat, what I did was I actually dumped it on, and then I used an old credit card to smooth it out that way. So you want to go less than a 1/4 inch thick because it is an air dry cure. So you don't want to go too thick. And then what I did was a third coat, and I applied it similar fashion, just making sure I coated the entire dish in order to make it extremely waterproof. Okay, so we're 24 hours later and our flex paste has hardened up. I've got it around the perimeter of every single section of this thing. I've embedded nylon screen, and then in turn I'm going to use Flex Seal to seal it all up to give myself a completely waterproof pool cover. I was pretty amazed at this stuff. I imagined it was going to harden kind of like caulking hardens, but instead it hardens kind of like rubber tire, and it's very solid and secure. So I'd imagine you could use this for all sorts of applications where you kind of need something a lot more robust than caulking, and you still want that flexible waterproof seal. This stuff is ideal. This is Flex Paste. It comes in a tube like this, a caulking tube, and it also comes in like a little tub where you can trowel it on using a putty knife or something like that. For this application, the tube or the caulking tube worked really well. Now that we have all of the sections, all 4 sections of the satellite dish coated with our nylon screen, we're going to take all 4 sections and screw them together to recreate our original 1980s satellite dish. And then we can proceed to sealing the entire thing. In order to ensure our satellite dish is waterproof, Dawn and I used the Flex Seal in order to coat the entire surface of the mesh that we installed. We were using a roller and a paintbrush in order to achieve sort of a thin film for the first coat. Now this stuff takes about 24 hours to dry, so we're just going to do our first coat, let it set up, and then we'll proceed with our second and possibly third coat in order to complete our waterproof dish. You can see we've got our first coat on the mesh, and what it's going to do is it's going to slowly close up the hole on the screen, creating a waterproof surface. Now we don't want to put it on too thick because what it'll do is it'll drip through. So we're just working on it a little bit at a time, get our first coat on it, let it dry up, and then the second coat will continue to close up those little gaps. This is my plan, is to mount my crane type thing to this tree stump. This is an old ash tree that was dead, and we cut it off at the base, and now it's going to serve a purpose to actually anchor my umbrella over the pool. So the only thing I got to do now is kind of level it out. As it turns out, it's pretty level on this side, but this chunk here has to be cut off. And if you guys have ever tried to cut something precisely with a chainsaw, it's not the easiest thing to do. Check that out for a sturdy base. Nice and level. Put some lag bolts on the outer perimeters in order to hold my plate down. Should work good. 24 hours later, we are at a very thick rubbery coating on the dish, as you guys can see. Most of the, well, some of the dish is actually completely sealed. You can see the screen here, it's completely opaque, you can't see through it, and then there's other spots where it still needs another coat. So we're going to employ a different method today of coating this dish, because our screen, the hole size has gotten smaller. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the pour method. So Dawn is going to be
pouring out of the can, and I'm going to be using an old credit card in order to trowel it out on the screen. We're going to see how well that works. As long as our hole size isn't too big, it won't drip through. So we're just going to be conscious of that while we're doing it. And if it is leaking through, we'll revert back to the painting / rolling method. But I'm pretty confident the pour and spread method will work this time. But what was your line?
I said that's a large erection.
You said that's a big erection.
That's right, okay.
That's a big erection. That is a big erection. Whew. Oh, it's heavy. It's big, eh, Don?
It is large. And
well, I guess this is the calm after the storm. The last couple of days, we've been having some crazy winds around here. We lost a couple of trees. A couple of them narrowly missed our aerator here from the dugout dude. It almost got squashed. It almost got completely annihilated. We've got like a 16-inch diameter elm tree that kind of fell, and it landed kind of clear like halfway in the pond. And it's kind of made a mess. So I don't know if it's stuck to the bottom of the pond. It doesn't seem to be floating. It looks like it's going to need a little bit of a chainsaw. And then on the other side of the cube, it appears a little balsam snapped off kind of a couple of feet up and hung itself up in that balsam over there. So we got that guy there. It's just hung up. These are like some of the most dangerous trees to take down, is anything that's fallen, because there's a lot of compression and tension going on in there. So you have to be careful when you're cutting those things. But this may have to wait for a cooler day to take off. It's like crazy humid. And then over on the other side of the cube, we've got this ash tree that fell. Just a branch, not an entire tree. And it narrowly missed the ladder and the entire cube. So anyways, nothing hit the cube, which I guess we'll call that a win. All's well that ends well, and I guess you get more firewood. Actually, this log here is probably ideal log for my my future plan of a canopy above the cooking area. So that'll probably be used for that once I get it out of that tree. I've got the canopy over the pond pretty much buttoned up. I got the Flex Seal on it. It's got to dry up a little bit more in order to actually recoat it. I've got a couple little spots I got to touch up, but you can see here it's pretty much coated and waterproof. I've just got to figure out the top piece there, and yeah, it's holding water, so that's cool. Just got to do a little bit more, but anyways, let's get the pond cleaned up, and then maybe by that time everything will be dried off on the satellite dish, and I can recoat it and put the thing that hangs the satellite dish up. Frankie, you gonna go for a swim? You gonna go for a swim, Frankie? Let's go to the pond, cool off. You're already halfway in there. It's hot. Hey, it's hot. Internal debate time. So I've got my little cookie cut out, and that's going to go on top of my satellite dish to hold it up. So I've got a couple of different pieces of hardware to mount on top of the thing. So I was thinking either this guy, which is a welded O-ring, so drill a hole through it and then bolt it in with a couple of bolts, maybe lock washers to prevent it from coming out. And then I was thinking, actually this is my second choice. My first choice was this guy, but as you can see, it's not welded. So it's got the, it's a little bit open, so it's possible that it would just kind of like, you know, open up. Unlikely, but it could happen. And then I came to a realization, well, maybe 2 points of fastening is better than one. Maybe a U hook like that, sitting on top of that like that. And I kind of am leaning toward this one. And just for the fact that it's got 2 points of contact, there's, as opposed to 1 point of failure, there's kind of like a secondary point of failure. Does that make any sense? You don't want more than, you kind of want more than 1 point of failure when you're dealing with something that's hanging above you. So I think this is probably the way to go, and this is probably the way I'm going to go. I don't know, maybe you guys can weigh in your opinions on that. So like, do you want one eye hook, or do you want like a U hook with a couple of nuts, a couple of washers, and just kind of solid that thing to there, then it can't really pull out, and if it does pull out, you kind of see beforehand? I don't know, you guys decide. I'm probably gonna go with this one, but we'll see. This is ever evolving. In order to make the bracket I need to hold up my canopy, I had my buddy draw up a design in AutoCAD and then submit it to my local fabricating shop, and they plasma cut it to the perfect shape with little tabs. So all we had to do was take the parts and insert them into each other, and then we welded each tab up and then welded around the perimeter to give us a very secure, solid base for our canopy. I was pretty impressed with the mileage I got out of those drill bits. These are cheapies. They were on sale at Princess Auto for like $3. I got a whole set of hex shank bits, and I was able to punch 8 holes in 1/2-inch plate steel, and it still didn't slow down at all. I think the idea is the tool for the job. If you had a freehand drill, like a cordless drill, I don't think it would work as well as the old trusty drill press. Whenever you're drilling any holes into steel, a drill press is where it's at. And I actually borrowed this from Dawn. Dawn brought it over because I knew I had to punch holes. Ideally, I would have had them plasma cut at the shop, but I didn't exactly know where they were supposed to go. So anyways, the holes are drilled, and we're ready to mount this thing. We're at the stage now where we gotta try to put our erection in the hole. But I think the erection is slightly too big. It's got too much girth. So I think we're gonna plane off a little bit of material in order to ensure it fits, because once it's up there, it's not gonna be fun. This thing weighs a ton.
Lean it here.
I think we gotta get away from the tree. So how about we take that section, stick it on the pool, go this way, and then like this, put it on the pool. Ready? Okay. I got this. You go to that end. There. You want me to do?
Go the other end. And lift it.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, position. It's there. There. Okay. On that side. All right, round two. The secondary plan that we have now is we actually sleeve the post, and we're going to try to stand it up and then screw it to the stump. As it turns out, this thing is crazy heavy and difficult with just two people. So we're going to try this and see if it works. Hopefully we can get one leg in it, and hopefully it'll hold with one leg. And then if we go 8 more legs to put in it. This is something. Okay, hang on. I'm jammed in.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep. Let's go for it.
You got it stabilized, right?
As much as I can.
I got not much jamming left.
Now the other way.
I'm still gonna keep my counterbalance, so I gotta go up there and actually string my lines over to that hole over there. But otherwise, she's pretty solid. Like, she doesn't move that much. So I'm pretty good, but we don't have a ladder down here. Oh, solid as a rock! I was standing up there, you could actually feel it be more solid because we got a lot of wood hanging out that way. So we want more weight sitting here to counterbalance our satellite dish over there. The original plan was to allow this satellite dish to go up and down so I could cover the pool tightly and cover it like almost completely, but my thoughts have changed slightly. I think there's enough overhang that we're not going to have any debris or water or anything like that entering the pool, and I'm going to eliminate another part of failure. So this was my cranky thingamajigger. I guess it's a come along, or what's the thing called, Don? It's a crank winchy thing. Call it a winchy thing. So I had this thing laying around, and that was the idea, was to like raise and lower the dish to make it like a tight seal. But I think I'm going to forego that just because it's another point of failure, and I don't really want that point of failure. So what I'm going to do is just attach the dish directly to that anchor point. Now that anchor point is rated for 2,200 pounds. My satellite dish is significantly less than 2,200 pounds, so I should be able to hold it quite securely. So the idea now is to hook up the satellite dish and then add counterweight to balance it out after we determine how much it deviates from plumb.
Okay, it's done.
Oh, look at that. That's cool.
Spinning canopy.
That's perfect. How did that happen? Well, guys, take a look at that. That thing is hovering above the pool. It's now going to keep all of the debris and whatnot from landing in the pool. It's perfect. It's got the perfect height too. You can see I can walk underneath it comfortably, and I've got shoes on. When I got no shoes on, I'll be further away, and it kind of gives you like a sense of space, which is kind of cool. Give you guys a little bit of the mechanical tour. So we've got an eye hook up on the top there, and it's rated for 2,200 pounds, which is holding the dish upright. And then we have aircraft cables spanning from the tip all the way up to the point up there, and then back down, and then it's anchored back to our tree stump down below. And we got a turnbuckle on there, so if this deviates out of plumb at all, we can adjust it to make it more plumb. And then we've got our cross bracing here, lagged it into there. It's probably a little bit overkill on this specific thing, but when it comes to sort of safety, you can never be too safe. So this was a really cool project. I really enjoyed making it, and a big shout out and a thank you to Flex Seal for sponsoring this video. And you know what, this thing's awesome. It's nice and waterproof, and it's gonna keep my pool clean from now on. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this one, join me on the next one. One more thing before you guys go, I want to introduce you to Flex Tape Max. It's the newest product in the Flex Tape line of products. It's 400% bigger than regular Flex Tape. It still does an awesome job at repairing pretty much anything you can think of, from your camping gear to roofs to leaky, pretty much anything. It conforms to all shapes and sizes. It gets stronger with pressure and time. It is UV resistant. This stuff is amazing, and it's now available in Canada. So check it out today.
Sit. Zippy.